Okay, welcome everybody to this month's SCIP, our Stanford Medicine community of improvement professionals. We're really excited to have you all here. You can see by my background, the title of this session is Spread is Dead, and the question is, was it really ever alive? That's going to be one of the things we're going to talk about. I guess that's why the X-Files theme, because it's a mystery. It's something that we're not sure really whether it was alive or not. So we have Jake Mickelsen. He's going to be talking about that. That's going to be our prompt for our discussion later. What I'd like to do before we jump into that is I want to quickly draw your attention. I know most of you know about this already, but I'm going to draw your attention to the website. So let's see. First thing I'm going to do is the way we usually do this for SCIP is we have a mural page, and that's what I'm showing here. And then I'll give you all a link to that for when we have our discussion. We'll break into teams most likely, and then we'll have a discussion and you can jot down your notes at the bottom. But here's our agenda. We're going to, the icebreaker I'm going to incorporate into our team time. So we'll, if we had a smaller group, I might do that now, but we're going to incorporate the smaller group so you can all get to know each other, as this group is largely about networking, connecting the various individuals interested in improvement in our Stanford community and beyond. So that is a vital, important part of this. So when we break out, you'll get a chance to connect with one another. The other thing I'd like to show you is the SCIP website. So you go to smci.stanford.edu, and then you can either type this in, which no one will remember that. If you go to groups, and then down here, there's SCIP. We also have Teamwork for Transformative Care, and some others. But right now, the thing that's valuable for this is if you scroll down, you can see what's coming up. There is the link to the meeting that try to keep the same link, so that if you for some reason missed the invite or can't find it, go to the website and you can jump on here. The other thing that you'll see is the link, the video from the last or the recording from the last SCIP session that we had. So you can, if you missed it, you can hear that. You can also click on this little drop down, and you can see a list of all of the different SCIP meetings that we've had back from the beginning. So we have a YouTube channel that has all of them listed, so you can check any of them out at any time. Okay, so enough of that. I want to get us into the content. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce Jake Mickelsen. He's one of our team members on the improvement team. And yeah, Don, I'll work on the royalties. I think there's probably only a handful of people so far that have looked at it, but when that jumps up into the millions, I'll share the money with you. So market that hard. All right, with that, Jake, I'd like you to go ahead and take it away and talk to us about this concept of spread is dead.
Great. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Really appreciate your presence today. We will have some discussion topics near the end. I do want to go over some content with you first, though. I've studied this out, had lots of experiences with spread that I'm going to review a little bit, some of my key learnings, and then what we can learn from others about this topic and why it's an urgent need. A little bit about myself. I've been at Stanford for just over 10 years. Before that, I worked in manufacturing and then in retail, working in the improvement space, the analytics space. I was over an analytics team for a couple of years, worked in quality and regulatory. And, but like I said, the last 11 years have been at Stanford Healthcare, our adult hospital in Palo Alto, working on different projects, clinical teams, strategies on how we can improve patient care delivery. And spread has always been a topic, actually, that has been more of a complaint than it is a blessing. It's often brought up we suck at spread or we can't figure this out. And I hear that probably more often than not when I hear the word spread. And I want to talk about that a little bit and some different strategies we can think about. So thank you, Ryan, for the AI-generated image of spread being dead at Stanford Medicine. He taught me how to do that. So now I created a number of tombstones. This one was my favorite, though. I need to first thank a number of people who have taught me a lot about spread over the past, at least 12 years. David Larson has been a big one. I used to work very closely with Dr. Larson in the Department of Radiology when I was the quality and safety manager there. And we talked a lot about spread. How can we get better at it? How can we move from just innovation to spread? Nandini Valath, I'm a faculty fellow for the Stanford Center of Innovation and Global Health. And I've worked with Nandini since 2017 on improving cancer care in India. And I'm going to share some of the learnings I've had with her. And then Dr. Amelia Sattler, who many of you may know, she's a primary care provider here at Stanford Medicine, works at the Hoover Pavilion. And she and I kicked off a major program called the Project Engagement Platform, or PEP. And I want to talk about some of the learnings from that, especially in regards to spread. But first off with David, one thing David and I talked a lot about was how can we have less spread and more adoption? And I'll never forget the metaphor he brought up to me. He said, Jake, I want our projects, the interventions, the best practices they bring about to look like puppies. I want them to be so friendly, so inviting, so gift wrapped that after a project completes, someone is like, ooh, I want to adopt that puppy. I want it. I want that part of my life. And he really pushed that into how we do improvement, is how do we end a project, gift wrapping it in such a way where it's almost like a puppy ready for adoption. Nandini, I've worked with her since 2017. This is a picture of a depiction of the country of India, all the different states there. And the many different places now since 2017 that Nandini and I have now done improvement work. And what's interesting, we have spread the same improvement methods and one single educational platform across over 40 cancer centers in the country of India. So does spread work? Sounds like spread is not dead here. Well, yes, we did spread improvement methods. We did spread one single educational platform. But what we've learned over the years, we could not spread best practices. We even tried to spread just key drivers, not even specific best practices. Can we just spread key drivers on how we improve cancer care in India? And we could not. And we've been about this for over 7 years now, seeing that, yeah, people like to have the same improvement method. They're even fine using the same educational platform. But if you ask them to adopt a key driver and intervention from another place, or you try to spread that to them, you don't want it. We published just recently, this year actually, it just came out, an article on this in a journal of palliative care medicine. And if you want to check it out and see some of the things we've learned, you can check it out there. Amelia Sattler, this one's closer to home. Back in 2018, we identified similar improvement tools and one way to report out projects. So one singular way that we then spread across 13 clinics across the Bay Area and then a little bit in Southern California near San Diego. All these clinics were using the same tools, even the same project report out venue. It was Mondays at noon. And yet, we still could not spread best practices. As soon as you brought up the point that, hey, we figured out how to intake patients here, or we figured out how to do blood pressure control for diabetes management. Do you want this? I want to spread this to you. I want to take it to you and have you check it out. They don't want it. Even though we had the same report out venue and the same tools. So this is, this urgency to figure out how to spread comes because we're in this project economy right now, where we have this relentless wave of projects. Harvard Business Review did an article on this just a few years ago. And because we've noticed that quietly but powerfully, projects have displaced operations. They really have. That's how we get stuff done, project after project after project. So to take advantage of this new project economy, we've got to be able to have this project-driven org structure, where we support projects, we manage them, or we spread them as we need to. So our ability to spread becomes an urgent necessity. If this wave of projects continues to come relentlessly, our ability to spread becomes a necessity, okay? So I decided to Google this to help me understand, why is spread dead? Why isn't it working? So I Googled, what are the most common things that get spread these days? Because I wanted to see what's going on. Here was what Google came up with right away. Things spreading widely today include infectious diseases and misinformation. And all these, and then it gave me a bunch of details of, here are the things that people are spreading these days. And when you hear the word spread, this is what people are thinking about. So is spread the best term for what we're trying to accomplish? Think about that for a second. I've also done some research over the past many weeks in preparing for this session on our current generation of leaders, people that are leading in healthcare right now, leading units, leading teams, leading departments. And guess what? The current generation of leaders doesn't want spread. When you study generational attributes of people leading our clinical teams these days, Dr. Yahya Suryan, a PhD, former Navy, and now study of how do we teach people, how do we help people in this leading generation to do things. He's found that this current generation doesn't want advice. They shun traditional guidance, the stuff that's spread to them or pushed to them. They want autonomy over authority. Unlike previous generations who often relied on elders for wisdom, this generation believes in charting their paths. They feel empowered to research, explore, and experiment independently. Okay? A common sentiment is, why should I listen to someone who hasn't lived my reality? Now, someone may read this and be like, well, this generation needs to... Exactly. Ryan took the words out of my mouth. Kids these days, come on. Why are they listening to advice? Why would they let us spread this wisdom we have to them? They want the power of ownership. Psychologists suggest that when individuals feel they've made a decision autonomously, they are more committed to it. Advice, particularly when unsolicited, can I spread this to you, can rob the recipient of this sense of ownership, leading to resistance. I hope you're starting to see more and more. I'm trying to create this in a very quick way, why I feel spread is dead. There's so many things happening right now among our leadership, amongst how projects are being done, amongst how spread the word is even used, that leads me to believe that spread is dead. That's not the way to think about things anymore. The younger generation's rejection of advice is not a rejection of wisdom. Be careful with this. It's a call for evolution. They crave authenticity, autonomy, and collaboration over traditional directives. So me making this point that our current generation of leaders doesn't want advice, or they reject wisdom, doesn't mean they're dumb, or doesn't mean that they're hard-headed, or it means that there's a new way of learning happening right now. And are we going to espouse it, or are we going to fight against it? So let's talk about a few things here. First, I hope I made the point. Spread is dead, not just at Stanford Medicine, probably modern healthcare. We've got to think of new ways of reaching our leaders and the audiences that we have today. But even though spread is dead, it doesn't mean we shouldn't share best practices. I still feel like there is a need in this project economy to share and implement best practices. I'm not saying we shouldn't spread. I'm saying we need to look at it differently. Okay? Please be clear on that. I don't feel that we just need to innovate in our local areas, ideate, create, have autonomy and just do it at that. But I feel like there's ways to leverage those qualities to better share best practices in clinical care. All right. Okay, I'm going to open it up for some discussion a little bit, but please stay with me just for a few more slides, okay? One place we can learn from, and I often do this when I look at healthcare, I think, what can we learn from other industries about how they share, how they spread, whatever it is? And one that's caught my attention recently, and it kind of, I think David Larson was onto something when he said projects should be more like puppies, are animal adoption centers. What can we learn about from an animal adoption center about spread? And maybe something else that sparked my attention in this area is Ryan. So Ryan has been getting ready to get a new puppy, everyone. And so here's some pictures of Ryan that he's been sharing. Look how happy he is. I mean, this might level with the happiness he feels when he builds an SPC chart. It might be that close, but he's very happy with this new puppy that's coming to his home. I don't think it's there yet, right, Ryan? We're not quite there yet. Yeah, okay.
Close.
Yeah, we're getting close.
Really close.
I think there's something to be learned from these. As I've studied at animal adoption centers over the past couple of weeks, I found some attributes about them that may help us share best practices more effectively in this rising generation, okay? What makes an animal adoption center successful? As I've researched these, I found there are some things that make them not successful. A lot of them don't thrive, and some really thrive. They work very well. People coming to them often to find this next pet to bring into their life. And there are 4 attributes, though, that I've identified in my studies that make an animal adoption center successful. One is they reduce barriers to adoption. They have a streamlined adoption process, one they've practiced over and over again, and provide coaches or mentors or people right in the middle of that process to assist this adopter with making the adoption, okay? Secondly, they have a strong online presence, well-maintained central resource for engaging and informing potential adopters. Well-maintained and central resource. The good ones have this. They have compelling content, high-quality visuals, actual things you can look at to grab and learn about this thing you're thinking about adopting. Engaging descriptions. They're very clear and open and helpful. And the 4th one, targeted advertising. The most successful animal adoption centers, they have this intentional reach to a targeted audience to say, hey, we've got something for you may want to check out. And because they have a compelling content, a strong online presence, and reduced barriers, that audience can check it out pretty easily. So let me show you some examples, because these are kind of fun. I even got one in here in the Bay Area. Let's see. We've got Rocket Dog Rescue. Check this out. If you're interested in adoption, here's where you go. Rocket Dog Rescue. I think you can still see my screen. I'm seeing my internet browser now. And what do they have here that makes this a compelling central resource? Well, first off, here's a upcoming event. If you want to come see some dogs to adopt, come up to our foster event here in San Francisco. They've got, oh, if you want to adopt, here, let's go here and look at our dogs. Let's check them out. And if you come see their dogs, each one of them has a name and a picture. And it's a nice picture. It's a welcoming one. It's one I want to go see, this one. Is there anyone you guys want to see? Just put it in the chat and let's pull it up. Which one of these pets would you like to go see? Okay, we got 2 for Baco. Or Baco. I think it's Baco. Let's go see what Baco has. So why don't we just click right into this nice central resource, and we find out right away what the breed is, the sex, the age, the location. and a little bit about Baco, something I can take in right away. And if I want to see what Baco looks like, wow, I've got a lot to work with here. Let's look at another example that I really liked. petsinneed.org. This one's really cool. Nice central resource. And what I really liked on this one is, so yeah, it's got a lot of things to look at here, and here, of course, some nice big pictures. But if you want to meet the animals, you just hit meet the animals. Oh, maybe you don't want a dog. Let's figure out what you want right away. I want a cat, kitten, dog, puppy, or I want a small animal. Okay, let's figure that out. Let's go back into our dogs again. And then, all right, if you want one of these dogs, which one should we look at, everyone? Let me get some engagement in the chat again. Anybody want to look at any of these?
Jake, can you scroll down?
You don't like any of these, Ame?
I just want to look at other ones.
What I like about this page is I can see which ones are in foster. I'm seeing right
Oh.
away. There's some progress happening with some of these. This is great. Boy, we're getting all kinds of answers on this one. I'm looking for at least 2 votes for one. Let's see. Okay,
scroll down to show us the options again.
You guys are getting into this too much. All right, I think we have 2 for Noodle. Let's pull up Noodle. What does Noodle have here? Okay, Noodle. I have a great picture of Noodle right here. Meat Noodle, part pasta, all heart. I want to learn about this one. Holy smokes, look at all these things I have about Noodle. Whoa, there's an Instagram I can go look at. There's a history. Oh, I want to adopt. Here's a way I can get help right away. Oh, and great, here's an email if I need to reach out to someone right away about this, or even a phone number. If I want to go see Noodle and learn about this, I've got lots of options here. So again, the well-working ones, central resource, removed barriers to adoption. I've got all this help right here. Nice content like images, artifacts, things I can look at, I can grasp. And then a targeted audience. It asked right when I got here, what are you looking for? Are you looking for, or what type of events are we going to have to reach out to you? We're going to have a pop-up event in your area. Come see us. Targeted audience, reaching out to them. Now, if you're starting to see some combinations to what we could learn about in the healthcare space, it's fine, because there are some. Those are just a few things we can see about some of the most successful adoption centers. And it's funny, so if someone asks this question, where can I find a pet to improve my happiness at home? They get stuff like this. They go to the Dogs and Rescue, or the Pets in Need, and they see a quick success story, the dog of the week. Here's the family member waiting to meet you, with nice visuals and things like that. Yet when we ask, where can I find ideas to keep my patients from getting harmed on my unit? I get told, go to Box. Hope you find something. Or Smartsheet, or the Lane Medical Library. Go try a publication that's 20 pages long. I bet you'll find something in there. Or, okay, here's a list of things you can do. Do MDRs, visualize your patient goals, discharge earlier. Man, I've been helpful today. Or the most recent one, let's chat GPT it and see what we can find. Here we are talking about patients' lives. Giving them harm or not, getting them home on time with their families. And the best we can do for share ideas is say, go to Box. We've got some space to learn here. And you don't have to spread. I don't think I saw spread once. And in these adoption centers, it was come and see, look what we've got for you. And we're going to give you some helpful information to help you along with the process. Now, here's what I want to discuss with you a little bit. And I know there's probably lots of thoughts going through your head, but I want to keep this focused. If attributes of successful animal adoption centers are 1, 2, 3, and 4, we just talked about them. What would they look like, these 4 attributes? What are we missing in an academic medical center? Okay. If these are the attributes of a successful animal adoption center, if we want to help people adopt best practices in academic medical center, what are we missing? Thinking about these 4 themes. Ryan, this is where I would like to break out. I'd like to share my screen to the breakout room so they can see it and spend about 10 minutes on this topic and then come back and talk about what we feel we're missing, what we can learn from these animal adoption centers. Is that okay? Okay, I want to hear it. I want to hear some of your ideas here. I'm going to put this list back on the screen and feel free to speak right up. I'm going to ask you which one of these attributes did you feel like we're missing something, and then some of your thoughts, and I'll write them down here. So before I call on it on anyone want to share some thoughts? Which of these attributes are we missing and how?
We discussed this is Rachel, by the way, the targeted
Rachel.
advertising, that when I think of like academic medical centers in my experience at SHC, it's a lot about sort of who you know. So if I'm looking to improve something, I've got to figure out who in the organization might be my person. And we're relating this to like a social media hashtag. Like it'd be a lot easier if we could sort of search these interesting topics or what we want the information about by like the hashtag or by the topic. But I feel like we're very person dependent on who you can network with.
Love that. Thank you.
Jake, our group talks a lot about the compelling content piece and the fact that compelling doesn't equal comprehensive. Brevity is great, but clear visuals are critical as well. When we talk about how the information is portrayed, Lisa talked a little bit about ACEs and the talk around the colors and what you should use when you're projecting information. And so there's a huge opportunity to have a formulary around how we share information, but it doesn't need to be a dissertation every time. Brevity is great. Yeah.
Jakari, this is one I thought about a lot too. What do we feel? What is the often go-to when we're like, oh, sure, I'll share with you what we did. I'll share with you my A3. Guys, that's garbage. It is not a sharing tool when it comes to, it's a great tool for building consensus among a disciplinary team while you're going on an improvement journey. But it's not a tool for sharing best practices. What are you sharing? You're sharing a problem-solving story. You're not sharing a best practice or a proven method that you've tested. And it's definitely not something someone can grasp and learn from quickly. I think your point, I think you inserted the word brevity on purpose there, Jakari, didn't you? We try to be too comprehensive on some of these things. Michael, yeah, here's my slide deck. Take it away. Hope you find something in there. Any other observations from your discussions?
Jake, for reduced barriers,
okay,
I think in my ambulatory space with, a lot of the clinics, we just don't have the engagement of physician champions that are needed to assist bringing the clinician cohort along. In the clinics, we usually can't do anything without collaboration with the clinicians, and they don't have the time or the interest or the engagement to participate in another thing, let alone champion it for their peers and so forth. And it's really hard to create change, spread, problem solve without 50% of the folks you need to do it with. So that's always been a challenge for us.
Hillary, thanks for sharing that. In my research on animal adoption centers, the amount of people they dedicate to help in the adoption process, it is a competitive strategy for them. It's what they have found that if we don't have people here to help Ryan figure out how to get this puppy into his home in a helpful way where it can adapt to that environment and adapt to his needs and all his qualities, then it's going to struggle. Yeah, and it's the same. There's no difference to our environments here. Our different units, our different clinics have different qualities. They have different attributes. They have different patient needs. And without that champion to help that happen, go through, I think you're absolutely right. Any other observations? Yeah, Maggie, go ahead.
Yeah, jump in and state the obvious. We don't have a central depository or resource. I know this is totally glaring. It's obvious. It's a gimme, but I'll jump in and take that bonus point.
Thank you. We don't have one at all.
Yeah.
It's so annoying. Yeah, but this takes management, doesn't it? It takes an investment in that resource.
Absolutely.
And
the
it's
resources.
Animal adoption centers. It's another one where they've said, if we want to run a good animal adoption center, we've got to invest in this. We have to. We can't just assume it's organically going to occur that people are going to see our centralized stuff. Yeah.
Jake, I took a different direction on that one, because the idea of, even if things are online, it sounds easy, but people don't always go to it. I would almost take a step back to, our visual work, and are we, like, if we walked up to people on a unit and said, what are you working on, or what needs to be done, would anybody even know that? So use of, vis walls and things to keep things, right in front, so that everybody remembers or can contribute to whatever improvement is going on.
Actually, Jake, sorry, I just want to jump in and say I take that back, because we do actually have a central depository of the improvement videos. Those YouTube videos that are centrally organized, I think they're still on SNCI website, right?
Yes, they are.
And those have been tremendously helpful. So I know it's not directly related to spread, but if somebody wanted to know how, like, what's the best practice in terms of doing change management, in terms of constructing a chart, that would be the place I could direct people to go to.
Great. Thank you for these ideas. I do find, to your point, Maggie, we are quick to centralize or spread an improvement method, an idea, and a proven tool. But when it comes to the way we're going to deliver care, a best practice in some ways, it becomes a whole level harder. Let me show you some thoughts I put together. I love some of these. You brought up some things that I hadn't thought about. But I put together just a proposal, a visual, Joe. I put together a visual to help us start thinking in this way, start thinking outside of spread and thinking something else. So let me go back into a slideshow here and show you. So if these are the attributes of animal adoption centers, and here's some of the things we're missing, some things we can work on, what would it look like? Well, would it look like something like this? And this isn't perfect, okay? This is like a B+ example. But would it look something like this, where you're on the Stanford Medicine website, and by the way, you're on the public website, not on the one where you have to log in through the intranet to access, but one that physicians can access. And you have your quality and safety adoption center, where you can get ideas on length of stay, readmissions, mortality, and hospital-acquired infections. And while you're there, right there across the banner, here's the best shared practice of the week. A new use of the central line de-escalation pathway has decreased infections by 15% in our J tower. If you want to see the pathway, click here. And it takes you to a diagram of the pathway itself. Not of the A3 or the PowerPoint presentation, but of the pathway the improvement team took time to put together for you so that it could be adopted much more easily. Or if we had another banner, new proven practices coming from the recent Wright graduation. Many of you know about our Wright program that does about 20, 30 projects a year. What if some of those artifacts, not A3s, what if some of the artifacts from those projects that were proven to work were put in a way where people could quickly access them, see them, get their hands on them? And then with the targeted point that Rachel, you brought up, don't forget to try at least one best practice from the Adoption Center this year to complete your AIP, ICDP, whatever it is that we put money behind to help people to do. There's a Amelia Sattler, one of my colleagues that I brought up in the beginning, she used to tell me all the time, Jake, healthcare needs more imitation and less innovation. And then why do we always incentivize innovation? Look at it. It's always about what's the next SMART goal? What's the next innovation, the new idea, the way you're going to improve? Can we then, instead of look at what if we incentivized, invested, or rewarded imitation? What if it was praised at the same level? That would be an intentional change. How we lead, I think in how we support improvement work, that would be a very intentional change and something that I would love to see happen. So I hope I've given you some thoughts as you think about spread, as you think about how we teach it and use it in this generation of leaders. And if this is something that you want to grasp and try in your different areas, it's something I'm very engaged in. And if you work for the adult hospital, it's something I'd be invested in helping out on. So thanks for your time today, everyone, and appreciate your comments.
Excellent. Let's give Jake a round of applause. This was really good. I mean, Jake, you always do an exceptional job. I love the way I put it in the chat, but the way you've crowdsourced to gather information. This is actually something we're actively working on here at Stanford Healthcare. And so if you are interested in this, I mean, this is a bit of a plug. If you're interested in kind of continuing this conversation, reach out to myself, Jake, and be a part of our team. We're looking to come up with some ways to do a better job of spreading effective practices. So what a great way to start that. So
I just want to say
very much.
A place to start, a place that's right for starting. On the adult hospital, we have something called our management guidance teams, or they're called MGTs. None of them have an adoption center. If they did, what would it look like? If we learned from these attributes from an animal adoption center, could each of the MGTs have some type of adoption center where there's one for length of stay, there's one for readmissions, a place for people to go and get quality content centralized, and they could even target their advertising with it too. So I think it's a place to think about it that's very ripe for maturation right now. And there's probably other areas in the different places you work.
You've got my wheel spinning for sure, Jake. So thank you very much for that. That's really good. Any last thoughts, comments? I'm going to see, Jakaria, you have anything you want to share before we get going?
No, just that there's much opportunity for us. So hopefully those that are interested will reach out. And thank you, Jake. Wonderful job today.
Perfect. Okay, well, with that, what I would like for you to do, if you have to go, I get it, but if you would, I'd love for you to give us just a couple minutes of your time, and I'm going to give you a link to our board, our mural board. And if you would just put in a couple of comments, please, go to the bottom of that and just jot down some comments on what you liked about this, what you wish we'd do in the future, or what you wonder we could do. If you don't have time for it, no big deal. We'd love it. Hopefully you enjoyed this, and we will see you next time. Take care, everybody.